In 1993, in the heart of South Dakota's Black Hills National Forest, 4 teenage friends ventured into the woods for what was supposed to be a weekend of camping and freedom. They were young, curious, and utterly unaware that they were walking into a place locals had long whispered about. A forest older than the town itself, a place some claimed was alive. James, the leader, adventurous, always looking for the next thrill. Emily, quiet but brave. The heart of the group. Kyle, sarcastic and skeptical, always cracking jokes. Rachel, intuitive, sensitive to things others couldn't see or hear. It was a warm June morning when they left their cars behind and hiked into the depths of the Black Hills. The first night was uneventful. They roasted marshmallows, told ghost stories, and laughed under a star-filled sky. But Rachel had trouble sleeping. She said the trees seemed to shift when no one was looking. That something was watching. Kyle, laughing. Maybe it's Bigfoot. Or worse, squirrels with a vendetta. Rachel, serious. I'm not joking. I keep hearing my name, whispered. The others brushed it off, but that night none of them truly slept. The next day, the forest felt different, quieter, heavier. Emily, whispering. Do you guys hear that? Soft, almost inaudible whispers drifted through the trees. James, it's probably the wind. Come on, let's keep moving. But it wasn't just the wind. Each teen began to hear their own name being called, softly, lovingly, and always, from deeper in the forest. That evening, just before dusk, Emily saw it first. A figure, tall, thin, made of wood and bark. Hollow eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. It didn't move. It just watched Emily, panicked. Guy, behind the trees, did you see it? James, there's nothing there, Em. You're just spooked. But Emily knew what she saw, and it was only the beginning. That night, Rachel woke up screaming. Rachel, he was in my tent. It was in my tent. Kyle, half asleep. What? What was in your tent? Rachel, the thing, the branch man. He said I wasn't the one it wanted. The group was shaken. James tried to stay strong. James, we'll leave first thing in the morning. Pack everything. We're done here. But by dawn, James was gone. Narrator, VO. No note, no struggle, no sound in the night. Just gone. The others searched and called, but the only answer was the forest, whispering James's name. For days, the remaining 3 wandered, trying to find their way back. But the forest seemed to shift. Trails disappeared. The compass spun in circles. And at night, the figure returned, watching, waiting, whispering, until one by one, they stopped speaking altogether. 7 days later, a search and rescue team found them, Rachel, Emily, and Kyle, sitting in a small clearing, silent, unresponsive, eyes vacant. They were physically unharmed, but mentally lost. Authorities searched for weeks. Drones, dogs, heat sensors. But James was never found. No tracks, no blood, no remains. It was like he had vanished into thin air. The forest had swallowed him months later. Emily finally spoke. Emily, it called to us, each one. Said it knew us, said it loved us. Kyle, it wanted James. We all felt it. The forest, it chose him. Rachel, quietly, he walked in, smiling, like he belonged there. They all agreed on one thing. The forest wasn't just alive, it was hungry. And James never wanted to leave. Local elders had warned about the woods for generations. They spoke of an ancient spirit, a guardian or a predator that lured the lost and lonely. A spirit made of wood, shadow, and silence. Today, the Black Hills remain a popular destination, but seasoned hikers tell stories of hearing whispers, of shadows with eyes, of a name, James, still echoing softly through the pines, and always the feeling that something is watching. If you find yourself in the Black Hills and hear your name whispered from the shadows, don't answer, don't look, and above all, never go deeper, because the forest remembers. and it's still hungry. In 2014, in a quiet rural town in Maine, where everyone knew everyone, something happened that even seasoned investigators couldn't explain. A retired man received a chilling phone call that warned him about a death before it happened. But the real horror, that call was never logged. It never existed. Tonight's story is about Henry and the unclaimed phone call. Henry Talbot was 72 years old when it happened. A widower with a modest pension and a bad knee, he lived alone in an old farmhouse passed down through generations. It sat just off the main road in a tiny town called Madley, where life moved slowly and secrets didn't last long. Or so they thought. Henry's routine was unshakable. Morning coffee at 6:30, tending to the garden, reading by the fireplace, and asleep by 10 p.m. sharp. His landline telephone was mostly a relic, used only by telemarketers or the occasional call from his daughter in Portland. But on a chilly March night, that old phone rang at 2:17 a.m. The ring startled Henry awake. He didn't have a cell phone, and no one called him at that hour. Ever. He reached over, picked up the receiver, and mumbled, "Hello?" There was a pause, then a woman's voice, quiet but desperate. "Don't go outside tomorrow." Before Henry could respond, the line went dead. He stared at the receiver. The voice didn't sound familiar. Not like anyone from town, not like his daughter or late wife. It was raspy, hollow, but insistent. He hung up, looked at the clock. 2:17 a.m., shaken but rational, Henry chalked it up to a prank or a dream he hadn't fully woken from. Morning came like always. Only this time, something was wrong. As Henry stepped out to fetch the newspaper, he saw it. Yellow tape stretched across the road, 2 police cruisers, and a county coroner van parked 3 doors down. People stood outside in their robes and coats, whispering, crying. Henry hobbled across to his neighbor Jim, who whispered just 2 words, "It's Martha Delaney," the sweet woman from 2 houses down who made blueberry pie and watched Henry's house when he traveled. She'd been found murdered in her backyard, her body discovered just after 2:30 a.m., barely 15 minutes after the call Henry received. The police quickly launched an investigation. Martha had no known enemies. There were no signs of forced entry, and nothing was stolen. It wasn't a robbery, Henry, still shaken, told the officers about the phone call. They raised eyebrows but took it seriously. They pulled the landline records from the phone company, nothing. No incoming or outgoing calls were logged at 2:17 a.m. Not to his number, not from any. The line had been silent all night, officially, yet Henry had heard it. The voice, the warning. That night, Henry didn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, the voice echoing in his mind. Don't go outside tomorrow. Why him? Why not call the police directly? Why warn him? He started to wonder if it was Martha's voice, maybe warped by fear, but the tone didn't match. This voice felt otherworldly. He started writing things down, the exact time, what he remembered hearing, the sensation he felt afterward, a cold sweat, a pressure in the air. Something wanted him to stay inside, and it wasn't done yet. Word spread quickly. A few folks said Henry was losing it. Others believed he was chosen. It wasn't the first weird thing to happen in Madley. Back in the 80s, a child had vanished in the woods, only to return 3 days later with no memory and whispering about a woman made of wind. In 1999, a hunter claimed to have seen lights flicker in Morse code above Martha's house. The exact phrase turned back. But this was personal. This was murder. And Henry had been warned. The police dug deeper. They contacted the landline service provider directly and cross-checked every signal. Nothing. No anomalies, no rerouted numbers, no technical glitches. The line was dead silent at 2:17 a.m. Detective brought in an old forensic phone expert who had worked with military communications. He examined Henry's phone and wiring. He found something chilling. The phone jack had been unplugged from the wall when he arrived. Not just loose, but tucked behind the nightstand. Physically disconnected, Henry swore he hadn't touched it. How had he received a call? 2 nights later, Henry had a dream. He was walking through fog, barefoot, toward a small white house. On the porch stood a woman, her face covered in shadow, hair blowing in non-existent wind. She said only this, "You listened?" Then she vanished. Henry woke up with tears in his eyes. His phone, still disconnected, lay beside the bed. A decade has passed. No one was ever arrested for Martha's murder. No leads, no motive, no suspects, just silence. Henry still lives in that same house, still sleeps with the phone by his bed, still remembers the call at 2:17 a.m. Some nights when the wind howls just right, he swears he hears it again, the whisper, "Don't go outside," and he doesn't. Was it a ghost, a time slip, a glitch in reality? Some paranormal experts say it was a protective spirit, maybe even Martha herself. Others believe Henry tapped into something far older, a force that exists beyond time, warning those who are meant to live. The phone call didn't exist, but the murder did, and so did the warning in Madley. People still talk about the call. Kids dare each other to stay up until 2:17 a.m. Some swear they've heard ringing. Others say the line only speaks when death is near. In 2007, in the heart of Chicago, a college student moved into a seemingly ordinary apartment near her university. What followed was anything but ordinary. This is the true story of Claire and her silent roommate, Claire Reynolds, a 20-year-old junior at a university in Chicago, was excited. She had just signed the lease for a cozy 2-bedroom apartment just a few blocks from campus. It wasn't fancy, but it was affordable, safe-looking, and came with a built-in roommate, Jenna. She'd only met Jenna twice before moving in. A quiet, slightly distant girl, Jenna was polite but elusive. On move-in day, Claire noticed Jenna's room was already fully furnished, but the girl herself was nowhere to be seen. For the first few weeks, Claire lived alone more often than not. Jenna left notes occasionally, staying at Kyle's place this week. "See you Monday. Gone for the weekend again. Don't wait up." Claire didn't mind. She liked the solitude. But then the small things started happening. It began with groceries. A missing banana here, a cup of yogurt gone there. Claire brushed it off. Maybe she just forgot. Then it was her toiletries. Shampoo bottles turned facing different directions. A towel damp when she hadn't showered yet. It felt off. Midterms rolled around. Claire started coming home later. That's when she noticed it. The smell of food, cooked food, as soon as she opened the door. At first, she figured Jenna had returned, but every time she checked Jenna's room, it was still empty. Claire sent her a text. "Hey, you home today?" "Smelled like someone cooked something," Jenna replied hours later. "Nope, still at Kyle's. Maybe a neighbor." Claire shrugged it off. The building did have thin walls. Maybe it was nothing, but it didn't feel like nothing. Then came the night Claire woke up to the sound of the microwave beeping. It was 3:13 a.m. The room was dark. Her phone glowed on the nightstand. She sat up slowly, her heart pounding. Beep, beep. She grabbed her phone, tiptoed into the hallway, and peeked around the corner into the kitchen. Nothing. No lights. No movement. The microwave's clock was blinking, as if someone had just opened and closed the door. She turned on all the lights. Jenna's door? Still wide open, empty. Her bed hadn't been slept in for weeks. Claire barely slept that night. 3 days later, Claire came home from class early. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. She dropped her backpack and went to the kitchen to make coffee. That's when she heard it, a soft rustle, like fabric brushing against wood, coming from above her. She froze. It was coming from the ceiling vent, the crawl space. Claire's heart dropped into her stomach. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. The sound stopped. Total silence. She backed out of the kitchen, grabbed her phone, and stepped outside. Claire called campus security. She didn't want to call 911. What if it was just a raccoon or something? 20 minutes later, a guard and a maintenance worker showed up. Claire explained everything. The noises, the food, the microwave. They didn't seem too worried. "Let's check the crawl space just to be sure," the guard said. They fetched a ladder. The maintenance guy removed the screws and slowly pushed the ceiling tile aside. What he saw made him stumble back in shock. There, curled up in the dark, was a man. He was dirty, thin, and wide-eyed, holding a kitchen knife in one hand and a spiral-bound notebook in the other. Police arrived minutes later. The man was arrested without incident, eerily quiet the entire time. When they opened his notebook, Claire's blood ran cold. It was filled with pages, detailed, handwritten notes. Claire, Monday, leaves for class at 9:15, returns at 4:20, wears pink sweater. Claire, Wednesday, skipped lunch, took a shower at 8:43, talked on phone with mom. Claire, Friday, went to bed at 11:06, deep sleeper, try microwave at 3:10 next time. He had been watching her for weeks. Turns out the man had been living in the crawl space long before Claire moved in. He'd slipped in through an unlocked service entrance and made himself at home, surviving on her groceries and keeping quiet while she was awake. Jenna hadn't actually seen him, but she'd noticed strange things too, and spent most of her time at her boyfriend's place because she felt weird in the apartment. Claire had been living under the same roof as a stranger who knew everything about her, where she went, when she slept, and even what shampoo she used. Claire never set foot in that apartment again. She moved in with her cousin across town the same day and transferred out of student housing altogether. The man was declared mentally unwell and institutionalized, though no one ever figured out how long he'd actually been living there. For weeks, Claire couldn't sleep without checking closets, vents, and crawl spaces. And even years later, the faint beep of a microwave would send shivers down her spine. Always lock your doors. Always check the crawl space, and never assume that you're truly alone. Would you dare to check your crawl space tonight? Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more real horror stories from the shadows of the world. And remember, some doors should never be opened, some noises should never be followed, and some roommates never speak.